I am Svarup, and this time I'm going to talk about family constellation, about systemic work. In all of us, especially at this disharmonic moment in the world, there is a deep, deep longing for harmony. And how we achieve that longing most of the time is by compromise, by pulling away our space, by trying to do something that somehow makes us fit and belong somewhere. But there's always a tension in that. There's always a compromise, there's always a sacrifice of our own true nature. So systemic work does not at all interfere with the right of the individual to be himself or herself. On the contrary, it establishes healthy grounds for this to happen. We are belonging by birth to a system, and it is the system of our family. It's the blood union between family members throughout many generations. And we belong to a tribe. We possibly later on belong to a system in our working place when there's more than two people working together. Certain dynamics are established. And as you all know now with the language of internet, when there is a glitch, the whole system goes haywire. And it has to readjust to that glitch or it collapses. In the language of family constellation, this means that there are unresolved issues that set off the system out of balance, like the internet viruses, like information that penetrates the system and creates a disbalance and creates events that occur that start spreading. So what happens, to speak in more human and ancient terms, if in your family, for instance, there has been secrets that have been kept, or really tragic events that have been somehow put away because of the pain of talking about them, or injustices, or exclusions, these glitches, these viruses, take over the system and try to find their own completion in one way or another, and they start infecting other family members that are absolutely unaware of this contagion, of this infection. So we find ourselves trying to complete, trying to resolve situations that we are not even aware of, that belong to the past or that are part of the family secrets, that have never been exposed or discussed or resolved. So family constellation is based on re-establishing the flow within a family or within a system, also a working system, by exposing what is incomplete and finding a resolution from where it originates from. And suddenly we realize, for instance, that we have been occupying the place of the unacknowledged child of our grandfather that moved on without ever giving his name to that person. And suddenly a granddaughter feels so out of place, so excluded, so out of her own life that even she realizes she's sabotaging her own success to serve the system and somehow demand for that recognition that did not happen 50 years ago, 60 years ago, 70 years ago. Of course, the problem is that if the sacrifice, like talking about this girl, if the sacrifice of this girl would be functional and it would work, then we might consider, well, you know, if the system is healthy after, I've sacrificed my life for something that makes everybody more happy. But when you try to resolve the destiny of somebody else, even if it's a close family member, you will never manage, because it's not your destiny, or in Eastern terms, it's not your karma, it's not your learning process in this life. So family constellation works in a very magical way. The person that wants to address an issue has to come to us, give some information, but a very limited amount of information. And then on the basis of that limited amount of information that shouldn't be tainted as much as possible with emotional accent, but just factual, we choose the members of her family, present or also in the past, that we feel are relevant for that issue. Then that person places them in a certain position in the space and in a certain direction. They look in a certain direction and creates a whole map of the system through alive people that don't know much about the story of this person or the story of the family of this person. And then the magic starts happening, because these people, without knowing really the story in detail, start feeling as the family members that they represent. And it is incredible how just out of this energetic play, the truth is revealed, is exposed, and then resolution is possible by giving people sentences that they would have needed to say, or by allowing people to move in different places, creating a new constellation, or by moving them in different places. Always the same result happens, that at a certain point there is a feeling of grief, there is a feeling of somehow having lost the opportunity to say or live certain things in the past. And then there is a feeling of forgiveness, there is a feeling of togetherness. And love, the love that was blocked in that system, flows again. It is very interesting because the person that does his or her constellation does not even need to remember the details of their constellation or to take action after a constellation. Just the fact of having witnessed what the core of the situation is creates the space for new things to happen without any intervention. And the system can function again with the same heartbeat. Harmony is restored.